Okay, recording. All of these standard rules apply from the past debates that you all have watched. Okay, I will be timing you, and reminder that if you 2 minutes and 30 seconds into your opening statement, I'll just raise my hand, okay, to let you know that you have 30 seconds. Okay. All right. Our second section of debates for the second day of debates. We have two debates in line. The first is innovation is always good, between Catherine with the affirmative and Ryan with the negative position. Okay. All right, Catherine, are you ready to begin? Okay. You may begin.
Innovation is a positive force in society. Innovation allows society to move forward and have provided people with many comforts and protections. Without innovation, people would still be living in caves, and many more would be suffering from starvation because of inability to readily get food. Things modern society take for granted were at one point innovations. An arrow was an innovation at one point, an important one, because it enabled people to more efficiently hunt and therefore eat. Simple innovations like that enabled the human population to grow. Innovation like penicillin and other antibiotics have enabled people to live despite bacterial diseases. In more recent times, innovations are more startling and have resulted in dramatic changes to the world. Just 50 years ago, a computer was a giant machine that took up a whole building, and now they're commonplace and tiny, utilized by almost everyone. Telephones used to be attached to a wall in your home, and now people carry them everywhere. And in many families, home phones are a thing of the past. Almost everyone at our school has or knows somebody who has an iPhone or an Apple device, and they help people communicate with each other. According to the Washington Post, Apple sells 30 million phones on opening weekend, and that is just one weekend. So if it wasn't a good innovation, then why would so many people go out and buy it when there are so many other phones out there to be bought? Yet everyone wants an iPhone, especially teenagers. With the telegraph, it was created in 1837. It was just as dramatic as an iPhone has been recently, enabling people for the very first time to immediately communicate with people more than a day's travel away from them. Innovation and communication has been incredibly positive over the years, making global communication and collaboration a reality. Innovation in transportation has also been positive. Without boats, nobody would ever have been able to discover and explore new worlds. Innovation has enhanced our ability for people to protect themselves from shields to home alarm systems. Just like how in the Industrial Revolution, when they used machines to mass-produce products that society needed, innovation keeps engaging and moving forward to create easier and more efficient ways to live and produce goods and services for people, as Albert Einstein once said, once you stop learning, you start dying. Thank you. I'm now ready for cross-examination.
Are you ready to begin?
Yes.
You may begin.
Your case is that innovation is good all of the time, correct?
Yes.
So if I can provide one example of when it was bad, then I proved your topic wrong, correct?
Not necessarily, because what makes innovation bad is the way that people use them, not the idea.
No. The definition of innovation is a new idea or more effective device or process. Clearly, child labor was an innovation of the Industrial Revolution. So do you think that it's good for millions of children to work tirelessly and suffer and even die from working?
Well, if it proved to be better for everyone else, then maybe, because that's just a small amount of people. That's not everybody.
So you're saying that it's okay for millions of innocent kids to be abused and killed?
They're doing that so that they can eat. If they weren't doing that, they would probably end up dying anyways from starvation.
But they got paid nothing.
But from working, they could eat.
Okay. What about all the people that were abused in the innovation of the slave trade?
That's just one thing.
But your topic states that innovation is always good. So clearly you agree
Yes.
that innovation is not always good.
Well, people may have thought that that was bad, but they were still eating.
Well, what if they just stayed in Africa? They were forced to come to the New World and they got ripped from their families. They would have had a plentiful supply of food in Africa.
Time. And now move on to our opening statement for the negative position. Are you ready?
Yes.
You may begin.
I disagree with the statement that innovation is always good because innovation can be a disaster. Innovation hurts people. W. Haywood once said, "The worst thief is he who steals the playtime of children," and that can illustrate that in the Industrial Revolution, children were not allowed to play when they wanted to because of the innovation of child labor. That innovation robbed them of their childhood. I believe that child labor was the worst innovation of all, and I will now uncover some more awful innovations that are happening now and in our history. My first point is that innovation is a bully of its own. The innovation of stereotypes really put people with disabilities at a disadvantage because other people think that if they look different, they think different. That is the case for most of people with disabilities, but a few of them are very intelligent, and they are hurt by all the mean comments that are said about them. In the book Wonder, the main character, August, is attending school for the first time. He has many disabilities, mostly on his head, with his hearing in his face. When he got there, everyone immediately judged him because of the way he looked and all of the devices that he wore. But he actually was a very smart kid. That brings me to my next example, the innovation of racism. The innovation of racism is upsetting because most people will make some connection that all people of not their race or skin color is a bad person. You will always hear stories on the news about how a person of color was shot or killed or involved in a crime. All those stories are strengthening that thought over and over again that people of different race and color are bad people and they can never be trusted. Everyone is entitled to their own opinions, but clearly these examples are bad innovations. My second point is that innovation hurts people. The innovation of slavery hurt people because they were abused. Triangular trade hurt people because they were thought of like objects and chained in close quarters on a ship. They were brought like animals and then worked to their breaking points every day. And if they didn't, they were whipped countless times, leaving deep, thick gashes into the slaves. They also slept on the floor and got fed as little as they needed to survive. They never even saw a penny for any of the work that was done, but they were still forced to work. The Industrial Revolution was a heavy hitter when it came to hurting people. The Industrial Revolution hurt everyone, including kids, because they were forced to work in dangerous factories in the deepest mines. Kids were shoved down chimneys to clean them, getting paid by the chimney. Kids should get to live their lives because they are kids. With all this innovation of factories, pollution was a problem. This led to lung cancer and many deaths. The hospitals were packed with people trying to get treatment. 25 to 35% of kids died before the age of 5 due to pollution. I also believe that pollution will one day end the world if we don't do something about it. Clearly, innovation was and still is an ever-going train wreck because of stereotypes, racism, slavery, the Industrial Revolution, and many more reasons. My opponent may state that it's worth it because now we live in a world of innovation, but my opponent is basically stating that abusing and making innocent people suffer is okay as long as it works out in the end, because millions of people have died to get to where we are now. And people are still getting picked on and made fun of because of racism or stereotypes. Thank you. I now stand for cross-examination.
Are you ready to begin?
Yes.
You may begin.
Do you talk to your grandparents?
Yes,
Where do they live?
they live in Connecticut.
If you didn't have a phone, would you be able to contact them as often?
Yes. No, I would not be able to contact them as often.
Do you or your family members have phones?
My sister does not have a phone, but I do have a phone.
How else would you communicate with your parents if you didn't have a phone, if you were at school stuck and you couldn't get home?
I could simply, my house is actually 5 minutes from here, so I could simply walk home.
Moving on. Have you gone on vacation?
I have.
Where's the farthest you've gone?
Cancun.
Could you have gotten there without a plane, car, or a train?
Most likely not.
So, without those great innovations, how would you actually be able to go travel and have fun with your family as much?
What about all the simple things in life, like horseback riding and hiking? Those didn't require any innovations.
Well, they had to use some sort of digging device to make trails or paths or safe things for the horses, like the saddles, so that you could ride on the horses.
Trails are man-made, natural-made.
Not all trails.
Well, what about trees? Trees are wonderful to climb.
Yes, but not all trees had to be planted somehow.
Were they built by man?
No, but man had to plant seeds so that they could grow.
Time. You both will have 1 minute to prepare for your closing arguments. Okay? Time. Okay. We'll begin with the affirmative. You'll have 1 minute for your closing argument. Okay. You may begin.
Innovation is always good. Phones and other electronics or computers that we use in school were innovations, and those electronics were how we communicate with others nowadays. It's also improved the efficiency of transportation, like boats, planes, and cars. We are surrounded by innovation. My opponent argued that people suffered from bad diseases in the Industrial Revolution, but without the knowing of those diseases, we wouldn't have had the innovation of doctors, which saved millions of lives. It's impossible to discount that innovations of communications have made our lives better, and therefore innovation is good.
You may begin.
Clearly, innovation was and still is an ever-going train wreck because of stereotypes, racism, slavery, the Industrial Revolution, and many more reasons. My opponent may have argued that phones are a good innovation, but people are getting more and more addicted to them, making the world less social. Child labor and slavery aren't issues anymore, but people are still getting picked on, made fun of, and excluded because of racism or stereotypes. A world with no racism is possible right now as long as you see past the outside of the person and look into the inside. Thank you.
If you two would bring me your materials, I would appreciate that. And then I would like Chelsea and Lincoln to step forward to the podium. Thank you very much.